It's time for us to start working on a project. So I've already previously created one in Vue.js and using our full backend. It's going to be basically a something we can compare against. It was also there to help me make sure like what features we're going to have and set up our Cypress tests. So let's go ahead and make sure we get everything started. Now, if you haven't already, I highly recommend forking and cloning this project to your own account and then getting it onto your own system. So here I have the entire project, which is this full stack to-do Rust course, and has all the code in it. Specifically the Docker Compose file. So if you've already done this to get the backend up and running, then you're good to go. And if you haven't, that's perfectly fine. So in Docker Compose, I want to make sure that our database comes up. I want to make sure our Node.js Express comes up. And in this specific case, I want to also bring up the JS Vue one so we can take a look at that. So we're just going to make sure that we're loading up the JS Vue profile. All right, so in our terminal, we're going to do a Docker Compose -- profile JS Vue up. This may take a while the first time you do it because it has to pull down and create all of the Docker images and then like spawn everything up. So at this point in time, we've got databases up and running. JS Vue is starting to spin up. The Express server is starting right now. There it goes. It's listening on port 3000. And now Vue CLI is starting to serve it, which is a Webpack thing. Webpack takes a long time the first time it runs. So this will be a while. In the meantime, I've also created a bunch of Cypress tests. If you're not familiar with Cypress, here it is. It's cypress.io. And it's basically a testing framework that also controls the browser. It can control Firefox, it can control Chrome. It can also just be run in an Electron app. That's what I've done. I just went ahead and did the download now and installed it that way on the Windows system. In previous Mac and Linux systems, I usually do the npm install Cypress method. Either way, it works just fine. So if I go ahead, let's see, it's currently in my downloads right now. So I'll just go ahead and open up Cypress, and cypress.exe. Let's come back here and take a look. How's our front end going? Okay, it is up and running. So we can now load localhost port 8080. Cypress is up. You're unable to connect. Let's see, you're on localhost 8080. Let's go ahead and double check Docker. If we do a Docker PS, we see here is JS Vue. I don't have it directly on port 8080, and the reason internally it is on port 8080 here, but externally it's been set to this random port, which in this case is 54258. I'm gonna go ahead and copy that. Now the reason for that is because there's a, I want you to have the ability to run your own code next to this one to sort of compare and just sort of see how things are going. And this way you will, there's a guarantee that you're not going to have a port conflict. And, this course is not necessarily covering how to configure trunk so that it serves on a different, port. Which is fairly trivial, and if you want to go ahead and look into that, I definitely recommend that you do so. Okay, so we're going to come in here. It's not localhost 8080, it is localhost 54258. Here is my to-do app. I have already previously set up a database and done a lot of things in here, so I can just go ahead and log in. We're going to use that Brooks1234. Or maybe, I deleted the database. Never mind. Let's create a new account. Don't save my password. Okay, so Brooks1234, create the account. It gives me 2 default tasks. I can complete these tasks at this point in time. I can also come into the lovely single task sort of like page. We can edit it, change things around, save that, and see our changes. We can also delete the task. We have filter abilities and sort abilities, and of course, adding a task abilities. So a very basic, but also fully featured to-do app. If we take this localhost 54258 and we go to our integration tests, front-end tests, there is this cypress.json. Right now, by default, it points to localhost port 8080, which is what we're definitely going to want it to do for our, when we're building things, because we want to point Cypress at our stuff. However, for right now, I'm going to change that to be this Vue.js app. So we're going to come back to Cypress. To open this up, I'm going to select manually. It already remembers where I'm going, so I'm just going to tell it I want to go to the full stack to do REST course. So find the repo, integration tests, front-end tests. When you see the Cypress folder in here, stop, you're good to go. This, if it doesn't find a Cypress folder, it will create one, which is kind of a pain if you do it in the wrong location. You have to go and clean up all the files that it creates. Okay, select the folder. It finds this, and there you go. Our one integration spec is already set. I'm going to be using Firefox, but you can tell it to use Firefox Developer Edition, Edge, Electron, whatever you feel like. We're just going to stay with Firefox for right now. I'm going to go ahead and click on this, which is going to start running it. It does take a little bit of time for it to spin up the browser. Here it goes. And as you can see, we have all the tests listed out on the left, and then it's just basically as quickly as it can running through them, doing all the interactive actions to sort of test everything out. Everything from, hey, we can see this top left nav bar and navigate home, to the error message should eventually disappear after 30 seconds. That's going to be this last one that we get. This is an end-to-end test. So the database does have to be set up. This is actually hitting the front end, which then expects to go to a back end, come back, and serve everything up. This last test takes a long time, and that's because it's waiting for this error to fade away and disappear after 30 seconds. Almost done. And we're good. Okay, so all the tests are passing. I'm going to go ahead and stop these. Okay, so that's good to go. Let's go ahead and now set everything up for us. What I want to do, we have the backend going here. I want to cd now, like running our code base inside of just like the full repo isn't really helpful. Most, like VS Code, for example, it wants the root of the directory, like the root of the project, to be where you open VS Code. In this case, I do have one for us. So under front end, Rust, to do project, this is going to be the one you're working on. We want to open up VS Code here. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So cd, it's code skills, full stack Rust course. Okay, so then we're going to do front end, Rust Yew, to do project. We're going to open up VS Code here. We should see everything. It's a very, very basic hello world. If we just take it main, it's the most basic of hello worlds. And our cargo.toml is only installing Yew, nothing else for right now. That's going to be part of the course. So let's go ahead and set this up and get going. So I'm going to do trunk serve. The first time you do these commands, it is going to have to compile everything because you won't have the target set up. However, it should be fairly fast because there's really nothing in here yet. Okay, server listening is on port 8080. So if you remember that, we have to go back to our other VS Code and change this back to 8080. Hit save. We're going to go check out Cypress. It should now be looking at the correct thing. If we go look at port 8080, we just get this lovely hello world. That's all we have here. Okay, Cypress, let's run the test again. I see that it is hitting to 8080. And this is just going to fail on every single test, but that's going to be okay. The Cypress tests are going to help guide us to let us know, have we actually completed the project successfully or not? I'll go ahead and let this run through behind the scenes. Let's go through this a little bit more in depth. So what we're going to be doing, I don't really like, it doesn't really matter that it looks exactly the same as this. This is not a CSS or styling course. It's more of just like the Yew.rs and how to use that course. Like it has to be styled, but it doesn't have to be styled exactly like this, which is probably for the best because I am not the best designer in the world. Okay, so one basic thing is my to-do app. This is like the equivalent of like a logo. I don't have a logo, so that's why I choose this. If we go anywhere with a router, so I'm on the create account route, this can send us back. However, we can also go ahead and create an account. Notice that I have disabled the button until we actually fill out the information. Oh, this fails because I've already created an account with exactly this name. So let's do that. When I create it, the backend does take care of creating the default tasks. You don't need to worry about that yourself whatsoever. The filters fully work. We can filter by the different priorities, the completed, uncompleted. We can also sort them by priority, name, and the created order. Right now, that's all pretty much exactly the same, so you won't see any changes. If I want to update this, let's take our task and edit this to be like a Z's. Now, if we go by name, it's down at the bottom, but created order reverses that. So we can sort, we can filter, we can add a new task. We can, let's see, we can edit existing tasks. We can mark them as completed. We can delete them. By editing them, we're going to have those select tags. So drop down of like A, B, C, and what else do we need to cover for this? I don't necessarily think we need anything. I would recommend sort of playing around with this, just sort of seeing what the capabilities are. And you can also look through the Cypress test to sort of understand what the plan is for that you're going to be going through too. For working on this, I recommend trying to get the full project done if you can on your own. If you run into any trouble, then go ahead and either go back to a video that covers a topic that helps out with this, or you can go ahead and watch me live code this. But I do recommend you'll get the best learning experience if you just do this on your own and don't just blindly follow along. Let's see. And I think that's going to be it. My method for this is just going to be live coding. The sort of normal type of stream that I do is just going in, building this out. All the problems that I run into, we're going to run in. I'm going to keep those in the videos and then put them on YouTube so you can see how I debug and how I work around any problems. So with that, thank you so much for watching. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the project. Bye.